Welcome to Turnpike Sports. I'm Dave Weishuttle, and as always, I'm joined by my producer and co-host, Doug Weishuttle. Doug, congratulations to the Kansas basketball team, NCAA men's basketball. And by the way, congratulations to South Carolina's women's NCAA basketball champions. But back to Kansas. Didn't you have Kansas as your champion in your brackets?
I had Kansas as my champion in the brackets.
So you made out well?
No. Don't get confused naming the champion in my brackets. I was doing well. I had my brackets were destroyed after the second round.
It was a very good night for me, too. At halftime, when Kansas was 15 points down, I made a very wise wager on Kansas live in play, and I made out. So I figured they're down by 15. It's a national champion. Sure, they're going to get a little closer, so I pulled the trigger on it, and it worked out for me. But not only did we watch the championship game, apparently a lot of people watched the championship game. I think it broke records. According
to CBS and Turner, it was the most viewed NCAA's men's championship game ever on cable TV.
I got to be honest with you. I'm surprised it broke records. I mean, it wasn't on network television.
It said a cable TV view.
Okay, it was a little weird.
CBS Turner made it specifically clear it was the most viewed on cable TV, 18.1 million viewers. It was also the third most watched college basketball game in cable TV history.
Yeah, and to be honest, I had to actually search around for it. I just assumed it was going to be on the CBS channel, and it wasn't.
Oh no, it was on TBS.
TBS,
yeah. That's why it's cable TV. And again, it was actually a great game. It was very good. What was it? The biggest comeback ever.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about this a week and a half ago, later than when it is, but it's one of those. It was a game that was actually fun to watch in the second half, if you were especially a Kansas fan, because just to see them climb back in, was actually a great television event.
Especially if you had money on Kansas when you put on the halftime. So I was very happy seeing them claw back and eventually win it.
Well, you and Mattress Mac are both happy.
Yeah, did Mattress Mac make out
something like $10 million.
Right, I didn't win that.
Yeah, but no, he had two bets.
He had a better night than me.
Yeah. He had two bets on Caesars. I think it was like $3 million in each bet, and it came out to something like $8 million or something. Total win was 10 or something. So no, he did good.
Yeah, no,
and he was able to fulfill his promise to his customers. They were able to get their money back from a purchase made during the NCAA tournament. That was the hedge that he had to do.
Okay.
So his promotion worked, and good job.
It was a fun game to watch. Well, we got a great show coming up. We got a Beat in the House. We got a book report, and I'm speaking with gaming attorney Jeff Ifrah. Believe it or not, New York's courts just declared that daily fantasy sports is legal in the Empire State, and we're going to talk about the case. It's a very important case if you're a daily fantasy sports fan. So you're allowed to do it in New York. Now regulators can formulate rules for the daily fantasy companies, not the big ones, but, like FanDuel and DraftKings, but also the little ones, too, who are operating in the state, who will be operating in the state.
Well, I think I speak for everybody. Long time coming.
Yeah, boy. I mean, New York has, $5 billion in sports betting coming up, almost. Yep. $5 billion.
On mobile sports betting handle,
and they just decided on daily fantasy sports. How about that? Today's trip down the Turnpike is brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with Drizzly.com.
Exit 1.
Well, Canada happened.
Yeah,
I
boy.
don't know how else to
Well,
say
I
that.
guess
They
that's
launched,
the
they
big...
launched their regulated iGaming and online sports betting market.
It's incredible. It's not only sports betting; it's casinos and poker. For God's sake,
It's iGaming, sports betting. It's basically, I think, probably the most complete market launch we've seen in a long, long time, if ever.
Yeah, I'm very curious, and we're going to have who we talk with, Paul Burns, who's the CEO of the Canadian Gaming Association, coming up at a later show, and I'm very curious to see what it was like April 4th, that Monday morning in Ontario, and like just the world of gambling was at your fingertips, sitting in front of a computer or your cell phone or something like that.
Well, actually, the night before, the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario, they reported that the number of online casinos and sports books that were licensed to launch on April 4th jumped from 16 entities to 25 entities.
Wow.
Just the night before the launch. And at 12:01 a.m. on April 4th, you had almost a shotgun launch. Not everyone launched at 12:01 a.m., but, PointsBet, Caesars, a bunch of the big ones, as well as a few of the other smaller books, all launched around 12:01 a.m. The one noticeable absence, and by the time this airs, I'm assuming we're going to have them as part of the online gaming industry in Ontario. And that was DraftKings. DraftKings did not launch with everybody. They were still not launched halfway through the week after April 4th.
It's interesting. You mentioned the time. I'm very surprised that it jumped, like, what was it, 12:01 or something like that, a lot of people just jumped online. Everything went live. Usually it starts like at 9 o'clock in the morning, kind of
depending on the
respectable
markets.
business hours.
I know
these sites went on like 12:01.
Well, I know a lot of markets launch at midnight. I don't know when. I can't remember when New York launched. I think it was midnight too.
Was it really?
I think it
For
was.
some reason, I thought it was like 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock.
I know a lot of the books announced them around 8, 9 o'clock, but I don't know exactly because it's really up to the state.
Would
they
set
the launch
soft
date.
launch 12:01?
I don't know. I don't know what you would
ease
consider
into
this.
it, like work out all the bugs before 9 o'clock in the morning.
Well, just so you know, the first bet at 12:01 a.m. on PointsBet Canada, one of the first private sports books to launch, they took a $500 two-leg parlay of University of North Carolina over Kansas and the Maple Leafs over the Tampa Bay Lightning. I don't think either of those worked.
I know the first one didn't.
I don't think the Leafs beat the Tampa Bay Lightning. But, again, that was the very first bet for PointsBet Canada. Speaking of PointsBet, and this has to deal with the regulations that Ontario has in place for the sports betting markets, they weren't able to offer points betting in Ontario. PointsBet is what,
Sure, that's what it's named after.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
They were not allowed to offer points betting to Ontario customers because of there's regulations in Canada. Let me just read this the right way. One of the regulations states that bets which expose players to losing an amount greater than the wager that they placed, you cannot offer that.
Okay.
And you also, it's illegal. It's not legal, but it's against the regulations. You can't offer bets that mimic a financial market or a product market or something that goes up and down.
Okay. All right.
So basically, according to the regulations, at some point they may be able to offer the points betting, but they're basically a straight sports book right now in Ontario.
Well, it's early in the process. I mean, I'm sure Canada is going to adjust its rules to see how these things are working, and plus I'm curious to see what happens with the other provinces. When are they going to jump on board like Ontario did? Boy, Ontario must be like the Vegas of Canada now.
Vancouver used to be.
Crazy,
now it's Ontario.
I forgot who I asked that question to. I think it was a journalist coming out of Canada. I was like, is there like a mecca of gaming in Canada? And he said, yeah, I guess it's Ontario.
Well, one other noticeable difference between the Ontario market and what we have here in the United States and one other area, live dealer games. There seem to be a lot more live dealer games being offered in Ontario on the online casino side.
That is the big thing now. Everyone loves the live live dealer things.
BetMGM and BetRivers both offer more than 30 different live dealer games on their casino. That's more than they do in any state in the United States.
Sure.
So
I know it's big in New Jersey. I mean, not all the casinos have them, but online casinos have them. But a lot of them do. So
it was just an incredible launch. They handled it the right way. Everybody got on board. I know there were some glitches. I know like Bet365 had some issues. A couple other ones as well had some issues with the launches and people getting onto their systems. And I know some of the books had to close down their current book platform and reopen as a Canadian platform.
Okay.
So there was some issues there with some sports books not being able to pay out some bets.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
It was kind of a good launch, great launch.
I'm curious about the
launch.
Yeah, I'm curious about the geofencing too. Every time there's a big betting event in the U.S., like a Super Bowl or March Madness, we have these stories about people in one state try and place bets online in another state, and like the geofencing prevents them. I wonder if any situation was like that in Canada.
Well, since GeoComply is a Canadian company,
so
they're going to know.
That's what I mean. I'm very curious if people actually tried that from other provinces trying to bet in Ontario.
I'm wondering if anybody tried it from the United States going.
Well, that's
Ontario.
interesting too. Yeah. I didn't even think of that.
That's a different border altogether,
Yeah,
right there.
that's. I was just thinking province to province.
I'm assuming international geofencing
Oh
applies.
yeah, I guess so.
Exit 2.
Got some esports betting updates to go through today.
Nice.
A couple weeks ago, we did the story on the Landel, which was the peer-to-peer wagering event that was held by Esports Entertainment Group down in Atlantic City.
Yep, Hard Rock
Very
Casino,
successful,
Atlantic City.
Very successful event. Well, Esports Entertainment also announced that they have completed their soft play phase of the New Jersey regulatory process.
Is that what you call a soft opening kind of thing?
Yes,
or?
it was a soft launch.
Okay.
But according to the exact phrasing is a soft play phase.
All right.
For regulation of the betting process in the state. They have completed that, and they are now the very first licensed esports-focused betting site in North America.
Great.
They
Awesome.
are launched. They are active. As a matter of fact, I took a look at it, and their site is really, really sleek looking. It's very cool.
Okay.
It looks like the typical sports book in terms of you have the odds in the center of the screen.
Okay.
And then you have the entries down the side.
Okay.
But it's not sports. It's esports.
All right.
And you get to see League of Legends. You see they're going to be offering Call of Duty, Overwatch, Counter-Strike, Global Offensive,
Okay.
League of Legends, and Dota 2, Defense of the Ancients. All are really fun games to watch.
Okay, I've heard of all the games. What's Dota 2? Does that stand
Defense
for
of the Ancients.
Defense of the Ancients?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe that's what your
That's a cool title. I've never even seen that played. Maybe I have seen that played.
I hate to say it this way, but it's another game like League of Legends.
Okay. All right.
So it's got a really intense following, more so than
Really?
League of Legends, I think.
Okay.
Every time I look up stories on Dota, it's actually a very intense competition that they talk about with that esport. But again, they are launched. They are the first ones in North America to do this. The site's vie.gg.
Okay. I was going to Esports Entertainment Group's website, but what's the actual...
The actual sports betting platform.
Okay, go ahead.
vie.gg. Vi.gg.
GG. Since I'm in New Jersey right now, this should look great. Oh, yeah, look at that. All right.
It's very sleek looking, too.
Yeah,
they
it
did
is.
a beautiful job on the design. The entire layout is really, really cool to look at.
So it's vie.gg. That's
Right.
pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's they did a great job.
All right.
Grant Johnson, Esports Entertainment Group, beautiful job. Congratulations. Again, they did a successful event in Atlantic City, pulled that off. That was great to see. Now we have their website up and running, their sports betting platform, esports betting platform, up and running, and it's very cool to watch and see.
Wow, you can actually watch the people you're betting on play the game.
Yeah.
It's awesome. This is really great.
And again, they offer so many different games. A lot of esports betting platforms overseas don't have all the games on their sites, and some of them focus on one site versus one game versus another. This one has the 5 of the most popular games out there that you can actually bet on. Go on to Twitch. These games are all over Twitch. You can watch people playing these games, and actually, if you could probably tie it in somehow where you're watching it from whatever station you're watching or channel you're watching it, and actually have the site up if you're in Jersey.
Yeah, no, this looks really great. It says all esports all the time. So, yeah. Wow, look, hundreds of matches taking place every day. So there's always something to watch on here. It's pretty cool.
Well, remember how we used to talk about soccer being on all the time?
Yeah.
Esports is on constantly, and there are 24/7 streams of esports tournaments. And especially now with the expansion of esports betting now in the United States, but also if you go down to South America, it's huge.
Yeah.
And Europe has it already. I'm really happy to see this.
Absolutely.
It's actually all of Grant's hard work getting this together. Was great.
No, this is great. No, I want to check this out. I want to try it. This looks like a lot of fun.
Drizzly makes it easy to shop a huge selection of beer, wine, and liquor from wherever I am. I just open the app, find what I want, and it's at my door in under 60 minutes.
Drizzly.
Ding dong, Drizzly.
Exit 3.
Well, as we all wait for ESPN to launch their branded sportsbook, which we all know is coming at some point.
Yeah, boy, I've been hearing about this for months and months.
ESPN has launched their first NFT product.
I saw this. Yeah, no, this looks pretty interesting.
It's based upon the Man in the Arena Tom Brady docuseries. ESPN and Autograph have entered into a deal to create NFTs based upon that docuseries. It's actually been doing extremely well in the ratings for ESPN.
Great.
Actually, it's ESPN Plus. And what's going on, this NFT collection, again, first time for ESPN doing NFTs. Autograph, as everyone knows, is the NFT company that Tom Brady co-founded.
Okay, yeah.
And also Tom Brady is the co-executive producer of Man in the Arena Tom Brady Collection. So
by the
this
way,
is Tom Brady all the way around.
Yeah, by the way, Autograph has an interesting website address. So it's autograph.io.
A lot of tech companies.
What is IO anyway?
It's a new domain name that a lot of tech companies use. It has a designation. Honestly, I don't want to just speculate on what it is, but it's for tech companies. A lot of them are using it.
Okay.
A lot of new sports betting sites have a .io address. A lot of data companies .io. And as I'm talking about this, you're looking it up.
Yeah, I
so
I want to.
it must be bugging the crap out of you.
I know.
That
It's like
.io. But anyway, the reason they're doing the drop, and you want to tell me before we continue?
No, I still don't. I still don't. An IO address, also called a port address, references a separate memory space on PC peripheral boards. A little bit similar to memory mapped peripherals that use blocks of memory. I have no idea what it.
Well, that's
I still don't know what it means.
It kind of fits. That's an NFT for an NFT.
All right,
company.
fine.
So it fits. But anyway, this is the 10-part ESPN Plus documentary series.
By the way, I provided
series.
no help on the tech side.
No,
of
you did
everything.
not.
Nothing.
No. But thank you for that effort.
Yeah, well, I made an effort. So.
The docuseries is becoming more widely available. It's becoming available across the entire Disney bundle. You have ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus for a limited time. And these NFTs, this first set of NFTs, are to commemorate the more widely available episodes of Man in the Arena.
You know, like I said, I looked on the Autograph website, and it's very interesting. They have a section called Featured Icons. Let me read these names for these NFTs you can get. Tom Brady, Tiger Woods, Derek Jeter, Wayne Gretzky, Tony Hawk, Naomi Osaka, Simone Biles, Usain Bolt, Rob Gronkowski, and The Weeknd.
The Weeknd.
The Weeknd, the singer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The guy did the
it's a Super Bowl halftime.
show, yes.
Yeah, The Weeknd.
I'm pretty sure his NFT collection includes some shots from the Super Bowl halftime show.
Maybe.
But the Tom Brady NFTs, kind of interesting what they're doing. The first collection consists of 3 ESPN magazine covers, illustrating Brady's career wins and achievements. He's also signing 50 of the NFTs in each part of the collection. So there is your increased value for that. And again, this is for this first set of drops is for the expansion of distribution for Man in the Arena.
Okay.
The Tom Brady docuseries. There's going to be another drop called Back in the Arena coming soon when the 10th episode debuts on ESPN+.
Cool.
And as a matter of fact, I went to the Autograph website when I was doing the research.
I'm
for
on
the
it
story.
right now, by the way.
I believe a lot of the first series are already sold out.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I think they sold out. They dropped on April 6th. And again, this is another one where the NFTs sold out almost immediately.
Yeah.
And also, just so people know, if you don't want to go to the Autograph website, but I suggest you do. It's an incredible website.
Yeah, autograph.io.
The NFTs are also available through the DraftKings marketplace.
By the way, there's some examples of the NFTs or pictures of the NFTs.
They're
There's
beautiful,
one.
aren't they?
Simone Biles has a really cool one. It's Simone Biles Ruby Mailbox Dismount. And it's a cartoon of, I guess, her jumping on a mailbox and doing a backflip off a mailbox, which is pretty cool.
Cool.
You have the Derek Jeter mystery container. You have the Tony Hawk Ruby Varial. Sorry.
I'm very curious. You just mentioned the mystery container.
Yeah.
See, I'm wondering what these Tom
I
Brady
don't know.
NFTs unlock, because all these other ones unlock things.
And plus, you go to a website, autograph.io, and you can see the signature
Collection.
NFTs. Yeah. So
No, they do an incredible job.
They're very cool, by the way.
Yes.
They're very cool.
Exit 4.
Last but not least this week, everybody that I know of has been complaining about the pace of play for Major League Baseball, especially in the betting industry.
Okay.
I know it's great for the micro markets, but overall, most people just don't like the slowness of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Major League Baseball may have found a way to utilize the slow pace of play to their advantage in terms of adding revenue to the game.
Okay.
They are going to be allowing the teams to sell sponsor patches on their uniforms.
Okay. Well, it was a matter of time, NBA did it, and when I first heard NBA doing it, I was like, oh no, they're going to look like NASCAR automobiles and have all the ads all over them. But no, it was relatively tastefully done.
Well, they were given size guidelines.
Well, they have patches.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming Major League Baseball is thinking about something like that.
They're looking at something like that, but only bigger.
Bigger.
Yep. According to the regulations,
All
right
right.
now the teams are being able to sell these sponsor spaces, I should say,
Okay.
for the 2023 season. We may see them in the playoffs, but
Okay.
the initial size is going to be 4 by 4, 4 inches by 4 inches on the jerseys.
That's actually pretty big.
That's about
Wow.
That's about 1.5 to 2 times bigger than the NBA and also the NHL.
Well, I guess they have to be seen on camera, right?
Yeah.
So they have to be big enough to be seen by the center field camera or something like that. So, at one point, it's going to be like the Bad News Bears. In the back, they're going to have Chico's bail bonds kind of thing. So, yeah, no. So it's... I like it. Where's it going to be located, by the way? Is it going to be like on their shoulder? Right
Right or left sleeve?
What?
Right or left sleeve.
Okay, it's going to be on the sleeves.
Yeah, on the
Okay.
on-field uniforms.
Okay, all right.
And it's going to be one design for the entire year.
Okay.
Whatever you and the sponsor agreed to at the beginning of the season, you got to wear that all the way through the rest of the season.
Now, will the patches be on the same sleeve for every player? I'm thinking because, say if a batter bats right-handed, you want that patch on his left sleeve because it's facing the pitcher and it's facing the camera. If a batter bats left-handed, you want it on the right shoulder so the camera will pick it up. So,
as far as I know, nothing like that has been
no.
discussed.
See, they got to think that through.
I would assume
if they're going
I
to
would
put a
assume-
huge patch on you might as well see it.
I would assume there's the possibility that they're going to be able to switch it for the batting stances.
Okay.
Also, when they sell the jerseys now,
All right.
fans are going to be able to buy with or without the sponsor patch.
Okay. All
So
right.
that I think you're going to see maybe some inclination toward getting rid of the non-patched jerseys in the
Now,
shops.
will they have helmets?
Well, that is
stuff
another
on
thing.
helmets?
That is another thing.
Okay, all right.
For this postseason,
Hockey has it on helmets.
For this postseason, you will see the possibility. They keep saying this, definite possibility of helmet sponsor patches.
So that could happen, the helmets anyway, as early as this season in the postseason.
This postseason.
So what about the patches on the jerseys?
2023.
Okay. All
now,
right.
there are a couple differences between helmet sponsors and jersey sponsors, too.
Oh, okay. So they can be different sponsors.
Well, the helmet sponsors are going to be league sponsors. The league will designate the helmet sponsor.
Okay. All right.
The patches or sleeve sponsorships places are going to be team dependent. Each team is going to be able to do their own.
So the sleeves belong to the teams, the helmets belong to the league.
Right.
All right.
And given the fact that it is baseball, there's always some kind of caveat of things you cannot do.
Okay. All right.
And according to MLB, the patches cannot have alcohol, betting, or media brands.
Okay. All right. So
you can't see Caesar Sports on their sleeves.
Okay. So it's going to be a lot of insurance companies, a lot of real estate companies.
Funny you should say insurance. Insurance is the biggest market for Major League Baseball.
I would guess so, yeah.
You're talking in terms of projected revenue coming in, $450 million to $500 million annually for just the sponsor patches on the sleeves.
Wow. Okay.
So this is actually kind of a big deal. Like you said, the NBA is doing it. The NHL's doing it. I don't know if football's doing it yet. If they're not doing it, it's the only thing they're not doing.
No, I'm trying to think of preseason. I can't remember if they're doing anything with preseason. They have, when they're on the practice field, I did see there are patches for the practice jerseys when they're in like training camp and stuff like that.
But nothing on field yet.
No.
Because I also remember when Major League, not Major League, but NBA started doing the patches. Mm-hmm. For a while, the exhibition patch was different than the regular season sponsor.
No, but we were talking about the helmet. I know, what was it? I forgot. I was watching the Bruins game, and they had TD on the side of their helmet. So where they play at TD Bank Arena, so which makes sense. But no, NHL has it on their helmets. Mm-hmm. NBA has it on their jerseys. Well, football, nothing yet.
The one thing I'm thinking that MLB is keeping the helmet sponsors to themselves. That's where you're going to see the betting brands. The alcohol, and also the things that you won't give the teams. The alcohol.
I got to tell you, 4 inches by 4 inches is pretty big, so you should be able to see that. That should be very clear.
And that's where the pace of play comes in handy because it's so slow. A batter's going to be on the screen.
That's what I mean. You have to figure out how a batter hits. If he's left-handed or right-handed, it matters where you have your patch to see it. So, or you have the patch on both arms or both sleeves.
And the one thing you got to remember when it comes to advertising on like sponsor patches. It's the amount of impressions you get when it's on TV. The longer it's on TV, the more you can charge.
Will they have a QR code on the thing?
I wouldn't be surprised at some point you're going to see stuff
that's
like
coming up, a QR code on the shoulder of a baseball player.
Or actually when they're showing the stats.
Yeah, probably.
That sort of thing. So, but yeah, something to look forward to with Major League Baseball, if not this year, then the following year.
And today's trip down the Turnpike was brought to you by Drizzly, your online liquor store. Available in over 95 cities across North America, Drizzly offers a huge selection and competitive pricing with a side of personalized content. Now there's no need to leave the house. Get alcohol delivered in less than an hour by Drizzly. Head on over to drizzly.com and order today. And now get $5 off your first order of $20 or more when using our promo code DRINK19 at checkout. Shop beer, wine, and liquor with drizzly.com.
And as always, you can get in touch with Turnpike Sports by calling or texting us at 609-512-5910. That's 609-512-5910. At Turnpike Sports is the show's handle on Facebook and Twitter. At Turnpike Sports Radio is our handle on Instagram. And as always, our email address is info@turnpikesportsradio.com. And don't forget, you can listen to the show via Spotify, Amazon Music, iTunes, radio.com mobile app, as well as Stitcher and YouTube. You can also watch us on your smart TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV. Head on over to turnpikesports.net. You'll be able to watch our video channel there.
Well, we got a big show coming up. We got a Beat in the House. We got a book report and coming up right after this, I am talking with gaming attorney Jeff Ifrah. We'll be talking about the recent New York case declaring daily fantasy sports legal. It's a game of skill, so it falls out of the gambling definition, and New York finally has a legal ruling on the daily fantasy sports question, believe it or not. So I'm talking with Jeff Ifrah coming up right after this. So stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports.
Attention! Here is something big banks don't want you to know about your IRA or 401k. You can store your retirement savings where you can actually see, touch, and hold it in your hands. With a Paradigm Gold or Silver IRA, you can transfer a portion of your savings to physical gold and silver coin and store them where you can see them. The stock market is close to its all-time high, and your retirement might be at risk again. But you can trust Paradigm Gold Group to help.
Call 800-417-3932. 800-417-3932.
Paradigm Gold Group is a gold IRA leader, rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau, where gold and silver has been in the family business for over 40 years. Call for your free guide to Paradigm's Gold IRA. Protect your retirement savings today with Paradigm.
Call 800-417-3932. 800-417-3932.
Yeah, you, come here. Haven't you heard? We don't need to hide anymore.
Now, we can shop privately for adult products at adamandeve.com. They've got massage oils, lingerie, and lots more we can't mention here. Use offer code SPICE404. They'll give you 50% off almost any one item, 3 free DVDs, free mystery gift, and free shipping. That's 50% off, free shipping, and more. Private shopping starts at adamandeve.com.
Welcome back to Turnpike Sports. Dave Weishottle with you here. A landmark decision has come from the highest court in New York State, which has ruled that fantasy sports is legal in the Empire State. Not only is it an important case for New York, but it could also have ramifications around the country. And to help us make sense of this complicated case, we are going to talk with Jeff Ifrah, who's one of the best gaming attorneys in the country and is also the founder of the iDevelopment and Economic Association. And we are lucky to have Jeff on the line with us right now. Jeff, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Jeff, such an important case coming out of New York. I mean, I think I told you off air, a lot of people I've talked to have felt that this is the case that has lasted forever. Give us a little bit about the background of the case. How did we get here to this point?
Well, just quickly, I mean, the New York legislature was lobbied by the industry and the DFS industry and passed essentially a law that recognized that daily fantasy was legal in New York State. And you would think that with a law, that would be the end of that. Yeah. But someone decided to go to court and basically allege that the legislature did not have the authority to pass a law without the voters voting on it because daily fantasy, it was alleged, was a form of gambling. Mm-hmm. And in order to allow such gambling in New York, you needed to amend the Constitution, which only the voters can do. And only after that can the legislature in New York, the Assembly and the Senate act. The initial court that heard this case shockingly agreed with the plaintiff who brought it and basically did not defer to the legislature's finding that daily fantasy was a game of skill. Instead, they replaced their analysis for that of the legislature and declared that daily fantasy was gambling. And from there, it went on to a series of appeals, like you said, that appear to have never ended.
Well, you mentioned, who were the parties involved in the proceedings? I mean, the name of the case is White v. Cuomo. I think everyone knows who Cuomo is, but who is White?
I don't actually know who White is. I believe that was some sort of plaintiff and may have been someone who was representing someone who did not want to see the industry continue in New York.
I remember talking to journalists covering this issue when fantasy sports was debated in the New York legislature. And as you said, for those opposed to daily fantasy sports becoming legal, they said that the state constitution had to be amended in order to be permitted in the state. Where were they drawing that idea from, that a constitutional amendment was needed to make it legal? I mean, I've spoke to a lot of legislators in New York that said, no, that's crazy. We don't have to do that. Where were the opponents for daily fantasy getting that idea?
In the New York State Constitution, Article 2 of the Constitution, a lot of state constitutions are like this, by the way.
Sure.
It's kind of a surprising thing, perhaps, in this day and age to think about it this way. But state constitutions either prohibit gambling in Article 1 or Article 2 of their constitution. So for some reason, it's on the forefront of the minds of the drafters of these state constitutions over 200 or so years ago. So what basically happens is you have a constitutional amendment that says that gambling is prohibited. The only way that you can carve out exceptions to that is by amendment. And so for example, when a casino wanted to open in New York, they needed to go to the voters and say, voters, do you agree to have a casino open? And if so, this is an amendment to our state constitution because our state constitution prohibits gambling. Now, when the voters said yes, and the 4 or so casinos open, and there's more to come perhaps, when they agreed to that, what they're basically agreeing to is to amend the state constitution. So when you amend the state constitution, what happens is the Constitution will now say, in that case, of the casinos, gambling is prohibited unless it is offered in one of these 4, 6, 5, 6, 7 casinos across New York State. So every single time an amendment is made to gambling, that is what happens. It's basically gambling's prohibited unless. Now, in the state constitution, there's no gambling is prohibited unless it's daily fantasy. So the argument was, rather than go to the voters, which would take forever, the daily fantasy operators who were pushing this law in New York basically said, we don't need to go to the voters because the Constitution only prohibits games of chance that are constituting gambling, but daily fantasy is a game of skill. And so therefore, rather than go to the voters' legislature, you can just find that daily fantasy is a game of skill. And as a result, there will be no constitutional problem. The plaintiffs, this group of state taxpayers who claim they were affected by the negative impacts of gambling. That's as much as I think we know about them. Yeah. They commenced that action, basically arguing that the legislature was wrong, that daily fantasy is not a game of skill, that the legislature is not entitled to any deference to make that finding, and that the only way that this can go forward is as a game of chance, and that requires a voter referendum to our Constitution.
Now, the United States Congress carved out an exception for fantasy sports in the Unlawful Internet Gambling Enforcement Act. So the federal government weighed in on the issue a long time ago. Now, I don't want to get too far deep into the federal versus states' rights or Commerce Clause or whoever constitutional lawyers want to jump in and say something about this. But how much did the exception carved out by the federal government for fantasy sports affect the argument presented in the New York courts? Did they give any weight to that?
Well, you don't really see reference to it playing a significant role in the most recent decision by the Court of Appeals. But after that exception was documented in 06-07, that's, of course, when this entire industry started, and it started taking hold, a few years after that exception came out. And, of course, that exception recognized season-long fantasy, and the big question was whether daily fantasy could fit, or were there any significant differences between daily and season-long. And most states said there weren't. Like, I live in the state of Maryland. The state of Maryland basically just cut and pasted UGIA, the law you're referring to, and just basically said, if you offer a product that complies with these 4 elements, you're good to go. So most states basically just copied and pasted that exception, or they passed their own version of it. Over 20 states did that in a very short period of time. New York was just one of the sort of holdouts, sort of like they were with, real money sports betting, which only launched recently after so many of the states had legalized it.
Now, for the non-lawyers out there listening, you have to be aware that courts around the country apply certain tests or analysis depending on what type of case they're presiding over. And you alluded to it before. In this case, the court applied the predominant factor test to the situation. What is the predominant factor test?
So the predominant factor test looks at the role of chance in the game of skill and whether skill predominates over chance. There's not a ton of interpretation out there. In New York, it was a little unusual because it seemed like you had two tests that were running at the same time, and it wasn't really clear. Just for non-lawyers, the way that we try to think about these tests is either skill predominates over chance, like you could say skill is 51% present in a particular game over chance, or if you have a stricter test, you would have to say skill predominates over chance to the tune of 75%. So when we're talking about these two different standards, it's 51% or 75%. So 75% test is pretty significant. You're almost eliminating chance.
Yeah.
And a 51% test standard, that would not be as difficult. So most operators would obviously rather be operating under a 51% test standard, and that's ultimately what the Court of Appeals applied.
Now, for the judges and courts that felt that fantasy sports were skill-based, what was their reasoning for determining that fantasy sports fell outside of the gambling definition and was an activity just basically based in skill?
Well, I mean, the court sums it up really well and says that, don't look at athletic performances and don't look at the factors that impact a particular outcome of a score or an athletic performance on any given Sunday. What you're really looking at is how well you, as a daily fantasy player, manage your roster. How have you assembled a team of players, and how have you put those together using skill, knowing what their performance would likely be, and how consistently have you done that? That's what's going to determine whether you actually end up essentially winning on any given Sunday over your competitors in a daily fantasy match.
Now, the High Court in New York ruled 4-3 in favor of the fantasy operators. So this wasn't a slam dunk case for the fantasy operators. There were 3 judges that dissented in the ruling. What was their reasoning for doing so?
The dissents are at least one of the dissents is pretty humorous to read. I mean, the dissent is arguing that everybody knows that daily fantasy consists of a chance, and everybody knows what a chance game is, and it's just sweeping generalizations that really ignore the record evidence in the case. I mean, the record evidence in the case that the majority relied on included analytical and statistical studies that were looking at the particular daily fantasy game that was before the court. Dissent just completely ignored that.
Now, one of the big changes in the gambling landscape is that the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act, or PASPA, has been struck down, allowing states to legalize sports betting in their borders, including New York. How important was that in this case? I know it deals with sports betting and not fantasy sports, but if PASPA was still the law of the land, would we have a different ruling in this case?
It's a great question. I mean, legally, of course, it's irrelevant.
Yeah.
But it's a great question in terms of the atmospherics and how much that impacted the outcome in this case. Is it a coincidence that this case has come out, shortly after New York State launched legalized sports betting? It's a great question. I think practically it's hard to ignore that. I remember I had a case maybe 7 or 8 years ago when daily fantasy was really growing, and the case was challenging whether poker was a game of skill. And the judges, who were all like extremely intelligent, erudite, well-known federal judges sitting in Chicago, they came out and they wanted to talk to me about daily fantasy and about how daily fantasy is like so popular and how it's a skill game and how and the whole case became about daily fantasy, and the other side was like, we're here to talk about poker. And it was so interesting how the judges are people, and I think that's a great point that you're raising. I mean, judges are people. They're aware of what's going on around them, and if gaming and gambling are things that, can start becoming more accepted like they are in New York, that's going to influence the way that they see the cases in front of them. And so this, and that's why a lot of times you have these like terrible cases like from 10, 20, 30 years ago where like, you look at the fact pattern and the outcome and you're like, wow, this is so aggressive. A waitress was serving drinks in a bar and there was a poker game going on in the back, and she's arrested for participating in illegal gambling. Like, what? Like those are actual fact patterns, and you have to believe that the attitudes of the judges towards gambling, did impact, and potentially in a very unfair and maybe irrelevant way. And that certainly could have impacted the outcome here. And I think, the factual history here, and without getting too much into it, for the listeners, I mean, there was oral argument twice in this case, and it was not clear at all how the outcome of this case was going to go. And like you said, it was a close decision to the last minute. So you have to factor in changing attitudes towards this particular vertical, and I think that probably benefited this case, even though it was irrelevant technically.
Well, I asked that question because one of the interesting aspects of this case is the fantasy operators involved, and that's FanDuel and DraftKings, who at this very moment are two legal sportsbook operators in New York. The fact that there are two legal operators already operating in the state, taking hundreds of millions of dollars worth of bets, a lot of people felt that had a bearing on the case. I mean, a lot of people felt that they're gambling entities in the state now. How can you rule against them as fantasy operators? Was that anything that the arguments involved, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good practical point. I mean, you're going to find that two operators are acting illegally. I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world if the state had basically said, listen, DraftKings, FanDuel, or whoever, you have to shut down your daily fantasy. That wouldn't really have significant, financial consequences to them in terms of this particular case. I mean, obviously that no one wants to lose a line of business, but what I mean is there weren't significant damages associated. I mean, the legislature had made a finding that this was a game of skill, and DraftKings was just following that. I don't think anyone would argue with them that there's really nothing, there's nothing to hold over on them here. If a judge just disagrees, people would just say, well, okay, I guess it was a toss-up, but who knew? Anyone would be operating under these circumstances in New York. The legislature makes a finding that it's skill and passes it. I mean, who would even think of going to court to challenge something that a legislature passed? So, I mean, I guess it's part of our American system. People go to court for everything. But, certainly I don't think anyone would, begrudge DraftKings or FanDuel for operating. So, it may have played a role in it. It may have had an impact. I mean, certainly they're contributing significantly to the economy of New York with, multi-billion-dollar sports bets that have been taken since day one. And they're the number 1 and 2 operators in New York. So they're significantly contributing, especially at that 51% tax rate, or more. So certainly they are contributors to the economy, but I don't know how much that played a role in this case.
A couple of years ago when New Jersey was going through the case to overturn PASPA, the Professional Sports League says the worst thing you could do is place a bet on sports. Now, a couple of months ago, I interviewed the VP of Gaming of the PGA and NASCAR. Certainly, the leagues not only have changed their attitude towards sports betting and fantasy sports, but are making deals with the operators that were involved in this case. How much bearing did the sports leagues have on the outcome of this case? Because they're the subject that people are betting on and playing fantasy on.
Well, listen, it's obviously a much better place and environment to be in as DraftKings or FanDuel or an operator when the leagues are now on your side. That was not the case when this whole entire thing started. PASPA was overturned by the Supreme Court in mid-2018, and in a context when the leagues were the plaintiffs who were trying to oust this vertical from the United States. And that attitude by the leagues continued even after the Supreme Court said that the states have the right to authorize sports betting, and even after New Jersey went ahead and did it. So that attitude continued well into 2019 and 2020. I certainly can say that it is difficult to pursue anything when the sports leagues are against you. So, being an authorized sports book of the NFL, like DraftKings and FanDuel both are, and having the relationships they have with the sports leagues, and being able to just keep the sports leagues at bay or even supportive, that's obviously a tremendous, tremendous help. It didn't come up in the case, but, certainly if the sports leagues had opposed this industry, I think this case could have turned out very differently if they had filed amicus briefs in the case.
Are you surprised that the decision in this case was so close? I mean, look, sports betting in New York has recorded a handle of over $4 billion. There's a bill in New York legislature to allow sports betting at arenas and stadiums. Soon people can possibly place a bet at Yankee Stadium. And there, like you said, there may be a couple of casinos that are going to be built in the New York City area. Everyone was a little shocked that the ruling was 4-3 when New York has become such... Let's be honest, it's a gambling empire now. We have never seen betting or fantasy sports being played at such a level in the state now, with such a big budget item for the state and such a commonplace activity. 4-3 seemed like a really close decision.
Listen, I agree with everything you've said, but I would just say something a little differently as to surprise at the 4-3 decision. I just think personally, it's just absurd to me that a state legislature can pass a law and make findings that a particular vertical like this, like daily fantasy or whatever, is a game of skill, and that the courts are not deferring to that decision. It just seems to me to be a nightmare scenario. If the courts are allowed to basically second guess the legislature on what constitutes a game of skill or a game of chance as a legal matter. Mm-hmm. I mean, the legislature is comprised of elected officials of the public, most of whom actually are lawyers, have lawyers on staff, or are very familiar with the law. It's what they do every day. So I understand that the judiciary has a role to play in terms of ensuring that the legislature doesn't pass some legislation which violates the state constitution. But come on, zero deference, this court said, along the way, even in the majority decision, the court is continuing to imply that the legislature is not entitled to any type of deference. That just seems to me to be ridiculous. And the fact that there's 3 dissenting judges who continue, and a trial judge, and an intermediate court at the appellate division, all of whom were unwilling to grant any deference to the entire Assembly and Senate. That's the part that gets me. It's on an issue like this. I mean, we're not talking about, imposing military law in violation of the state constitution that grants us freedoms. I mean, we're talking about whether the legislature has the right to determine whether or not a game gambling that's prohibited by the Constitution and Article 2 applies and passes a law with factual findings. And the courts are saying that they're entitled to no deference. And instead, the court replaces what did the dissent exactly replace the discretion that I think is afforded to the legislature? What did they replace it with? With sweeping generalizations about how everybody knows that this is gambling and everyone knows and we don't have to define it. That's better. I mean, that's what a court should be doing. They should be, an individual judge should be dissenting because he or she knows what gambling is, even though they can't define it, can't provide us any type of test, ignore complete analytical and statistical data, and refuse to defer to an entire body of legislators who have looked carefully at this issue and made findings of fact. All of that is ignored. To do what? To give us no standard at all. I mean, it's just ludicrous.
How important do you think this ruling in New York is for other states? I mean, will other states see this ruling and be influenced and when this issue comes up for them? Or do you think other courts...
Any other state really thinks and is grappling with this issue. I don't think other states really think that they need constitutional amendments to offer skill games in their state. It's just not a thing. Why this became a thing in New York and why this... it could have everything to do with changing attitudes towards gaming. It could have everything to do with the fact that the case started at a time when sports betting had not received the green light in New York. It could be that this case started at a time when the leagues were sort of indifferent to even maybe moderately opposed to the growth of the industry. I don't know. But no other state is really seriously that opposed. There's no... At this stage, copycat legislation. There's no copycat litigation. Daily fantasy is a very safe industry in terms of, it's somewhat immune from, I think future litigation on this issue. I think this is the last. It's probably the first and the last of these cases.
In the past, I know some banks were hesitant to do business with fantasy and iGaming. Do you think this means more banks will be open to doing more business with fantasy sports operators now that this ruling has come down? I mean, there's no really opposition to it now.
Well, they should be. I think that I don't think that the bank's refusal to onboard this industry is really a reflection of the bank's personal views about the industry. So it's been annoying that the industry is not able to allow and afford consumers wider options when it comes to payment options. I think that banks just generally in the United States are just, especially huge banks, and we've seen it with Citibank recently, just basically pulling all their retail shops. They're not really that friendly to consumer-facing businesses anymore, or to consumers as a retail matter. I think banks are very focused on lending, on financing, on real estate, on investment. There's not a lot of money for them to be made having, savings accounts and having retail branches anymore. And so I think that a lot of the big banks that we were hopeful would onboard the industry who didn't. Yeah, it might have been that someone there said, well, this is risky and maybe this case would help, change that individual's mind. But I think it's a larger issue that banks are just, simply no longer interested in my business or your business anymore. And I think that's why we're seeing fewer and fewer, retail branches, and we're seeing maybe more and more ATMs. But, banks are also, competing with a lot of apps and a lot of retail a lot of banks that are available online. And, as a result, it's kind of shifting, who we turn to for payment processing. So I think that's a part of the story too.
Will this decision affect any other areas of gaming, like online casinos or online poker, for example? Because I'm starting to hear the same arguments when they're talking about online casinos and online poker. Is it a game of skill, or we need to change the Constitution? Do you think this ruling will go a long way in helping move along online casinos, online poker, and iGaming in general?
Well, you certainly could have the legislature make a similar finding about poker, and there have been poker bills introduced in New York for years and years and years. Yeah. Senator Dabo and Assemblyman Pretlow, they've both been behind not just daily fantasy and sports betting, but originally they were the ones who introduced poker as well, and they continue to do so. But I don't think anyone's going to be introducing a bill about poker or casino alleging that it is skill and doesn't need a voter referendum. I don't think we're going to see that. So I do think that if those verticals are going to go forward, they're going to require a little bit more than what daily fantasy required. Daily fantasy at least provided the legislature with some assurance that the federal government, because of UGA, the law you mentioned that passed in 2006 and went into effect in 2007, that there was some federal endorsement over the industry. We don't really have that when it comes to poker and casino, so I would expect the legislature to be a little more careful.
So, like you said, is the fantasy sports issue for New York settled? Have the courts of New York given their final word on the issue, and no other court cases will be moved forward, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think this is it. And, it's unfortunate that, DraftKings and FanDuel and others had to be dragged through this super long proceeding, not knowing what the outcome was going to be and having to worry about the risk of disrupting their business. But I do think it's over, and I don't see any other court case in the country that is, creating this type of anxiety for a fantasy operator. Also, I want to point out, most importantly, I do think the most important thing about this case is that there are a lot of daily fantasy operators who have been standing in line in New York waiting for regulations to pass, and the regulator has said we can't really do anything until this court case is over. So I think a lot of New York State consumers are excited about seeing what other additional offerings there are out there. And hopefully New York State will start issuing the regulations so that those other operators, smaller operators, can get in line, get those licenses, and start offering their products to New Yorkers.
Jeff, we're running out of time, but do you have a website you can give out so people who are interested in your law firm can check it out and also read the great blog you have on your site? I really enjoy reading the articles on your blog. And if you have any social media address you want to give out so people can follow what you're up to, so please do.
Oh, you're so nice. Thank you. So IFRA Law, IFRAHLAW.com. And when you're up there, there is an ebook on daily fantasy and other betting and gaming verticals that you can download by clicking on the download button on the top right. And if you're on our site and you go to Insights, you can see our blog, which is called IFRA on iGaming, among other blogs that we have on our site that have to do with e-commerce and interactive media and digital advertising. So FTC Beat and Crime in the Suites focus on that. Just click on Insights when you're on the ifralaw.com website, and you can pull down all those blogs and register if you want to receive our stuff in your inbox.
Jeff Ifra, thank you so much for coming on and talking about this very important case. This is one of those court decisions that could change the fantasy sports industry around the country, so thank you so much for explaining it to us. Please come back soon. Thank you for your time today.
Thanks for having me.
Stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports. With some of the best promotions and offers in the sports betting market, PointsBet simply stands out. PointsBet is the only U.S. online bookmaker to offer points betting, where every yard, every point, every goal, even every play matters. Same-game parlays, good karma payouts, early payouts, and exclusive game day promotions and guarantees for all sports. PointsBet offers more bet types than any other bookmaker in the world, offering a unique set of markets that aren't available anywhere else. And now PointsBet is offering one of the best sign-up offers in the sports betting market today. New customers signing up with code BET21 receive 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. Get up to $500 back if your first fixed odds bet loses, and up to $1,500 if your first points betting bet loses. That's code BET21 for 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000 at PointsBet. PointsBet, it pays to be fast. Must be 21 years or older and in New Jersey to place a bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. We'll get back to the show in a few moments, but I just wanted to take some time and tell everyone about Bean Genius, the smart specialty coffee subscription service. Bean Genius sells freshly roasted coffee from some of the best independent coffee roasters in the country. They feature over 2,000 specialty coffee blends, all at your fingertips at beangenius.com. Here's how it works. Head on over to beangenius.com and take their palate profiler test to find out what coffee best fits your taste. Then select from a variety of subscription plans. Every subscription comes with free shipping, and delivery can even be scheduled for once or twice each month. And based upon your review of each coffee blend you try, Bean Genius actually learns your individual taste preferences and then suggests future coffee blends for you. And now you can get 10% off your Bean Genius subscription when you use our promo code PIKE at checkout. Bean Genius offers a variety of subscription plans to suit any coffee lover's needs. Subscribe with Bean Genius today and start enjoying some of the best tasting coffee around. And save 10% off your coffee plan with promo code PIKE.
It's a casino. People gotta win sometime.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a giant, colorful check to deposit.
Beat the House is brought to you by BetMGM Casino. Play your favorite casino games at BetMGM Online Casino. Slots, table games, live dealer games, everything you love about Atlantic City and Vegas, all online at BetMGM. Don't wait. Join in the fun now. Go to BetMGM Casino, create an account using our promo code Turnpike, and become a verified player. New players get $25 free when signing up, plus a first deposit bonus up to $1,000. That's promo code Turnpike at BetMGM.com for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus $25 free. Grab a lion's share of the fun at BetMGM.com. Must be 21 years or older to place a bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And welcome to this week's Beating the House segment, where we're going to be talking about several casino jackpots. We've got slots, we've got table games, we've got some even progressive jackpots as well. We've got all these different types of jackpots throughout the country to talk about.
Any Pie Gal?
No Pie Gal.
Oh, wow. It's a Pie Gal free week, huh?
No Pie
Boy,
Gal.
we had a string of Pie Gal jackpots these last couple of weeks.
Wait, no, I just lied to you. We do have a Pie Gal poker.
We do have a Pie Gal?
We have a Pie Gal poker. I'm looking at my notes as we're talking. I have a whole list of these different jackpots, and I got Pie Gal listed in there. And, you know, without further ado, since we're already talking about these jackpots, we're going to start off. with PieGal.
Oh, okay.
This is actually a pair of jackpots for Caesars Rewards members.
Okay.
This one, Edward Marks over at Caesars Palace hit a jackpot of $473,455 after playing 3 hours worth of PieGal poker.
Wow.
Yes.
That's long.
He won his hand with a 7-card straight flush, and he told Caesars in the press release, this is what they have here, he is there for a long weekend trip and plans to play every day he is here.
Wow. Well, good for him.
So hopefully we see some more from this guy. So, it didn't say whether
He
this
still could be playing, huh?
It doesn't say if this was a progressive.
Did he say he was going to stick with the PieGal poker, or is he going to spread
I guess that's all he plays.
Oh, I don't. Okay.
And he is from Spring, Texas.
Oh, good for him.
A place called Spring, Texas, where they do not allow casinos or any kind of PieGal poker.
See, that's a great. I don't know if he was there for work or meetings or or vacation, but that's always a great trip. Your trip is paid for. You got a lot of money afterwards, and it's always great to go home with more money.
I hope he goes home with more money.
I hope so. Yeah,
$473,000. Yeah,
you
you better go home with more money. That'd be a horrible change of events there. The other Caesars Rewards member this jackpot happened at the Link, Las Vegas.
All right.
People know the Link from watching, ESPN's TV show Daily Wager.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you said the Link. I was like, I know the Link. Why do I know the Link? And it's ESPN films.
Very, very cool set.
Yeah.
So it's actually really nice to see that. But Michael Takes, great name for a guy taking money from a casino.
Yeah, right.
Michael Takes was playing Let It Ride for an hour at the Link when he hit the mega progressive jackpot for $1,041,000.
See, that's awesome.
That's another table game, Let It Ride. That's a poker offshoot game, if I remember correctly. I'm not too familiar with the rules of Let It Ride, and sad to say, I'm probably never going to win $1 million playing Let It Ride. But again,
so in their press releases, Caesars always makes a point of saying that they're Caesars Rewards members.
Yes.
Okay.
Every
That's
casino,
very important. Yeah.
Every casino does, because remember when we do stations?
Yeah.
They always mention the station's pass member. Mm-hmm. Which is their loyalty card.
Well, the loyalty thing, I mean, we're seeing a lot of commercials in New Jersey about that. Even when you play online, they're part of the casino, so you get comp points and player points. And, I just saw a commercial. I forgot what it was. Best comps on the internet. It's like, wow, okay.
Well,
we're getting there now.
You do know the other two reasons the loyalty cards are important for this. Mm-hmm. One is to actually keep track of the jackpots.
Sure.
The other thing is get the tax documents ready.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So that's what the loyalty cards help, the casinos out there, not just getting more customers to come in, but
they do get customers.
They do get tons of customers.
Let me tell you something. You play online, and I think it was BetMGM, their commercial, convert your online comp points and rooms and food and shows at MGM properties across the country.
Well,
so
I remember.
It's important.
I remember when BetMGM, the online site, launched. Mm-hmm. It used to be part of the M Life Rewards.
Yes.
Now they recently just created the BetMGM Rewards.
Yes.
Which can be applied to the same things the M Life Rewards.
I know,
card.
it's great. No,
I don't know if they issue a card for the online BetMGM Rewards loyalty stuff, but M Life
it's great.
is
You sit at home, you play online, and you get comp points. How great is that?
Well, that's the point of going to a casino.
There you
getting
go.
Comp somewhere.
Yep.
Going back to the East Coast now, we're going to Live Casino Philly.
Love that place. Such a great place.
Well, Live started something about a month ago, and it's the Mystery Progressive Slots program. Mm-hmm. No one knows what the progressive jackpot is, according to this program.
Okay.
It starts at $10,000, and by the time it gets up there to the $50,000 top limit, somebody's guaranteed to win. Somebody's going to win this somewhere between $10,000 and $50,000. So you just don't know how much it is when you win it.
So is it any progressive slot machine on their property? Is that what they're doing?
No, they have to have a qualifying slot. And they have a whole list of them on the casino website. But again, this is the first time this mystery progressive slot program has paid out. So we're going to be talking about it. Mm-hmm. A player called Anna won $41,457.
Nice. Wow.
And when she won that 41 grand, it kicked off an hour-long free play jackpot for 10 winners throughout for free slot play. 10 winners in the next hour won somewhere between $500 and $1,000.
See, I always like promotions like that. When one person wins, there's a lot of people that also win. It's like a bad beat jackpot in the poker rooms. You know, you win and everyone else wins in the poker room. So I always like those promotions.
This is only slot machines. It doesn't include video poker. Doesn't include electronic table games. So you got to make sure you're playing the right ones. And also,
so go to their website before you start playing, so you know what slots to play.
And also, you got to have your live rewards card inserted into the machine. So you see a trend here?
Yeah, no. Yes. Rewards points and rewards cards are so important to casinos. So always sign up for the cards.
Well, Anna won the first one.
Great.
There are four more to win.
Okay.
And the program's going to run until the end of May, or until all 5 jackpots hit. So I guess you can actually see it's hang around 50,000 for longer than May 30th. I don't know.
Yeah. I love live casino. We were leaving the parking garage, and you catch a view. It's right next to Citizens Bank Park. It's actually right next to all the stadiums in Philadelphia. But we were leaving. You can actually see right into Citizens Bank Park where the Phillies play when you're leaving. So it's such an awesome location.
Well, next ones I got a New Jersey story. And I got 2 West Coast stories. You want me to do the West Coast and then end it up on Jersey?
Yeah, ended up on a high note in Jersey. So.
Okay, we're going back out to Nevada.
All
Southern
right.
Nevada, to be exact. Boyd Gaming has announced that in the month of March, they have awarded more than $33 million in jackpots to multiple people throughout their 10 Southern Nevada properties.
Wow.
These were all, $30, $40, $20,000 jackpots at their 10 various properties.
This is $33 million in jackpot wins in the month of March, huh?
That's just the month of March.
That's pretty good.
And you're talking a good amount of people, but because these aren't like there was only like 1 or 2 $1-point-something million wins on the Boyd properties. Matter of fact, we had one of them last week. The Hawaiian Visitor winning $1.3 million at
that was at a Boyd property?
Hotel California.
Okay. Hotel California.
California Hotel and Casino.
At Hotel California.
Hotel California. I'll call it that. But, the couple Hawaiian Visitors are all winning at Boyd's.
All right. Great.
Which is kind of interesting.
Awesome.
Pala Casino in Pala, California.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, the formal name, I want to get it right for them. Pala Casino Spa Resort paid out over $25 million in slots and table games jackpots in the month of March.
Wow.
1 casino. Boyd had 10 doing $33 million. Pala had $25 million in 1 month. 1 casino did this.
That's pretty good.
And it's all different types of jackpots, table game slots. I think they even had a couple blackjacks, that sort of stuff. And again, got to have the Pala Casino rewards card placed in there.
Sign up for the
all
card.
These things.
Sign up for the card just for the parking, for God's sake.
Some casinos don't offer the parking benefits, but, you got to check and see exactly which card offers what. Because I know down in Atlantic City they have 8-9 casinos, and
the great thing
there's only 6 cards because 3 of them are owned by the same company.
Yeah, the great thing about Atlantic City and parking is if you park at a place, you pay, but always get a receipt because the next casino you go to that day, you just show them your receipt and it's free parking usually. So, little tip.
One other thing,
with
regards to the Atlantic City casinos.
Yeah.
Get your Bally's card because now you can use that at all the different Bally's casinos all over the place. If you're up in Rhode Island, you're going to be able to use that at Twin River, or what used to be called Twin. It's Bally's Twin River now.
Yeah.
So, and actually, they do have the coolest design cards.
They
love
do.
that color
They
scheme.
do.
It's like a Pittsburgh Steelers black and gold.
Well, I think they have different colors for the different levels. So,
well, the one I got is black and gold.
Yeah,
so
black and gold.
I'm at the lowest level possible. Let's go back to the East Coast now and finish up in New Jersey. Every so often I talk about the different jackpots New Jersey has, and I always tell people this is public information. Don't rely on this episode to do this.
Don't rely on us.
Don't rely on us to report this. You can do it yourself.
So where do you go? You go to
the New Jersey Division of Gaming Enforcement.
Okay.
You click on the Slot Laboratories tab.
All right.
And then in the Slot Laboratories tab, you do have a listing of jackpots, and they update it every 2 weeks.
Okay, great.
And this is very interesting to me because New Jersey, I kept checking this every day just to see the updates, and again, every 2 weeks they do it. 17 jackpots of over $100,000 since March 14th.
Wow.
So
that's pretty.
That's a lot of money.
Now, are they both brick and mortar and online, or do they? What kind of jackpots are they?
It lists every jackpot at all the casinos, whether it's online or whether it's brick and mortar. And I have to admit, there were 3 games that stood out. They were all over $200,000 jackpots.
Wait, can I think? Okay, these are slot machines.
These are.
I was going to try and guess it, but
these. I don't know if this is a slot machine, but yeah, I believe it is.
Okay, see, I was going to do the Monopoly or the Wheel of Fortune, and for online, anyways, Divine Fortune. Did any of those make the list?
The other ones, yes.
Okay.
The ones I'm going to talk to you about that were over 200,000.
So I missed them. Okay.
Yes. Do you want to try and guess the casinos?
No.
Okay.
Is it Pai Gow Poker? Usually, God, with the stories we're doing with Pai Gow Poker.
No, these are slots.
Oh, okay,
these
slots.
Are
okay.
Slots.
All right.
I just looked at the list again. These are slots.
Okay.
Golden Nugget Casino Online. 2 of them. 2 of the jackpots. 233,000 and 372,000. Different days on Wild Play Superbet.
Wild Play Superbet at Golden Nugget.
GoldenNuggetCasino.com.
I still might have an account at Golden Nugget because I still get email from them. So I have to check to see if I still have an account. There's so many casinos and sports books and poker sites in New Jersey. I don't know what do I have an account with anymore.
And the other one occurred on PlayMGM.com.
Okay.
$204,000 jackpot. Someone was playing the Dragon Power slot machine.
Okay.
Now, normally I do talk about who the maker of these slot machines are.
Mm-hmm.
All 3 of these are NYX games.
Okay.
So NYX games paid out a lot.
Yeah, a big couple of weeks for NYX games.
So that's it for this segment of Beating the House. As always, casinos, lotteries, please keep your press releases coming into us. info@turnpikesportsradio.com, and we'll keep doing this segment. It's so much fun to do. And it's congratulations to everybody who plays at these casinos or the lotteries, and we'll have more next week.
The book report is next, so stick around. We'll be right back with more Turnpike Sports.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited.
They do not give up until you pay.
They put a lien on my house.
How about you? Do you owe back taxes? Call Tax Solutions now and get some help. For a limited time, the IRS offers a tax forgiveness program called the Fresh Start Initiative. Our team can make it easier for you to pay back taxes, avoid tax liens, and get a fresh start. Sometimes you just need a second chance.
I call Tax Solutions now, and they got the IRS off my back.
At Tax Solutions Now, our affiliates are all accredited by the Better Business Bureau and members of the National Association of Tax Professionals.
We saved our home and overcame the most powerful collection agency in the world.
Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now. Call 800-299-1132. 800-299-1132. 800-299-1132. 800-299-1132.
The Turnpike Sports Book Report is brought to you by BorgataSports.com. Your favorite casino is now your favorite sports book. Available anywhere in New Jersey, BorgataSports.com. Sign up at BorgataSports.com using our promo code PIKE, that's P-I-K-E. Make your first wager of $20 or more and you'll get $100 in free bets. That's $100 in free bets when your first wager on Borgata Sports is $20 or more. Get into the action with BorgataSports.com. Must be 21 years or older and in New Jersey to place a bet. Terms and conditions apply. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And welcome to this week's edition of the Turnpike Sports Book Report. This week we're going to be doing some state and national sports betting numbers, including a new quarterly handle record by one state. as well as a few other state handle and revenue benchmarks that were passed this past week. We've got some betting deals that coincide with the launch of the baseball season.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, we have an MLB network deal to talk about as well.
Yes.
We have some deals in Canada to even talk about. RSI, Rush Street Interactive. We have FanDuel. We've got a whole bunch of other launches, deals, and legislative updates to talk about. But right off the bat, we're going to start off, because Arizona just released their January numbers, we can now close the book on January.
Thank you, Arizona.
It was very nice of them to
Oh,
do
look
that.
who showed up.
Yes, exactly.
Arizona.
That's kind of what it was.
That's
Remember
nice.
we used to be waiting for Illinois?
Yeah.
Now we're not
Boy.
waiting for Illinois as much. We're
Arizona
waiting for
said, "Hold my
Arizona."
beer."
Yeah, exactly. It was one of those
I'll
things.
get there when I get there.
But we now can close the book on January 2022. We can go the top 10 states by handle. I can list them all, but I think it'd probably be better just to say
New York and everyone else, right?
no.
Oh,
No.
really? Oh,
There were
very
$3 billion handles in January.
Okay, but New York's not the top one.
New York is top one.
Oh, okay, that's what I meant. New
I
York
was
and
gonna-
everyone
I
else.
wasn't going to say
you know?
New York and everybody else because you have New York and New Jersey only separated by 300 million.
Oh, is that all?
Is that
Okay,
all? Yes.
okay.
Nowadays we have to say it that way.
So let me guess. Top three is New York, New Jersey, Nevada.
Yes. All had $1 billion handles.
Number
in
4
January.
is it? See, I want to say either Pennsylvania or Illinois.
Well, Pennsylvania is number 5.
Okay.
Illinois, you are right, is number 4.
All right. Okay, I got it.
Again, New York, $1.69 billion.
I just nailed the top 5,
Yes.
by the way.
Not in the exact order, but
right, well,
you know,
okay.
you had an exacta.
I boxed it.
You trifecta or whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it. New York, $1.69 billion. By the way, New York is the one we're going to be talking about in a couple seconds here about their quarterly handle.
Why don't we just rename this the New York Report?
It's slowly becoming that.
It's these numbers coming out of New York are incredible.
New York was $1.69 billion.
All right.
New Jersey $1.35 billion, and Nevada was $1.11 billion.
Now, what month was this?
This was January of 2022.
Okay, January. All right.
Like you had just guessed, Illinois was 4th, Pennsylvania 5th. Arizona made it into the top 10. They were number 7, and Virginia rounded out the top 10 this in January. They had $485.5 million.
You didn't mention 6. I want to take a stab at who 6th is.
Go right ahead.
Could it be Michigan?
No.
Okay.
Michigan was number 8, by the way.
Michigan was number 8. Now I don't know who number 6 is.
It's one of the table tennis twins.
Colorado.
There you go.
Yes, I'm sorry, Colorado. I should have known.
They had $573.7 million in handle
Okay.
in January. Total sports betting numbers nationally for January. Total handle, $9.8 billion.
Okay.
Gross gaming revenue, about $648 million. Adjusted gaming revenue of about $524 million. The hold was about 5.3%, 5%, that sort of stuff. And taxes collected in January by all the sports betting jurisdictions was about $128 million.
That's great.
Tax revenue is growing and growing.
That's why you allow sports betting in your state to get the tax revenue.
That's also why some states have a
give it to
51%.
the schools, the hospital, the roads. Do whatever you want
Well,
with it. It's an incredible amount of money that sports betting could be doing good for
That's also
you.
why some of the states have the 51% tax.
Yeah,
tax
well, there
rate,
you go.
so.
There you go.
But again, did we able to close the book on January? As a matter of fact, we're starting to get March numbers in. Illinois just released their February numbers.
Okay.
We'll talk more about them next week. But a couple benchmarks, and Illinois is included in these benchmarks. New York just put up a record handle for the first quarter of an annual first quarter.
Okay.
$4.68 billion.
Unbelievable.
And as we're talking about this, they're going to be releasing the end of the week numbers for the week ending. What is today? Today is the week ending the 8th, April 8th.
Mm-hmm.
New York's going to pass $5 billion.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I'm hoping they do, because the way they've been going, I've been noticing the handle decline has been steadily going down. And I don't know if that's because of the lull in the sports betting calendar.
Well, hey, look,
or it's just plateauing.
We're coming out of an awesome week in sports. We had the NCAA championship. We had the Masters, which is always a huge betting event. We have the start of baseball season, which is a lot of fun betting because, now you can do the same game parlays. I don't think they had that at they weren't being offered on such a wide spread across the books last year. But same game parlays in baseball are outstanding. They're so much fun, and they really get the fan engaged. So we're going to see some big numbers coming up.
I'll tell you, there's one thing the U.S. industry loves, especially the U.S. consumers, are parlays.
Yeah, right. The exotics, you should stay away from the exotic bets, but
parlays
they're fun. They are fun. What was the old saying? Parlays don't build bankrolls; they build sports books,
and
that is absolutely true. But you know what? They're fun to do. Opening day of baseball, I won one same game parlay, and I lost another same game parlay. So I pretty much broke even.
I lost both my same game parlays, and the only reason I did a same game parlay was because it forced me to watch the game.
Yeah. Right. Oh, I was, I had a same game parlay in the Mets game, and being a Phillies fan, you know how hard it was to want the Mets to win, but but it worked out for me. But it was kind of I was going through some things watching the Mets win.
Well, that just shows you're growing as a bettor.
I know.
You're not betting with your heart. You're betting with your head.
I know.
So that's kind of what you want to do.
So, but thank you, Mets, for helping me out.
Well, a couple other benchmarks before we actually start talking about what was going on regarding opening day for baseball with some deals. Illinois, like we had mentioned, was the fourth state to pass $10 billion all-time handle in the post-PASPA era.
Okay.
You want to guess the other three?
The other three states that what? What's the...
Past $10 billion in total handle.
The other... New Jersey, I guess,
yep.
And not New York, but Pennsylvania.
Yep. The other one begins with an N, too.
See, I wasn't Nevada.
Yeah,
but I wasn't. They had sports betting before,
but they're keeping track of what they're doing post PASPA.
When you say post PASPA,
yes.
I kind of think of the newer states.
Well, if you want to include Nevada, passed it anyway. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. So
let's see. We have Arizona passing $2.3 billion all-time handle. They're a brand new market. They've already passed $2.3 billion. The only one putting them to shame is New York, and that's just sheer volume.
New York is putting everyone to shame.
That's just sheer volume. Yeah. Virginia became the 8th state to surpass $4 billion in post-PASPA handle. They joined New Jersey, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Indiana, Colorado, and Michigan.
Indiana is surprising. I didn't think Indiana. I just wasn't thinking Indiana sports betting market.
Well, again,
it's a great market. Don't get me wrong, but when you're talking about big numbers like that, you don't think of Indiana.
Well, they were in the top 10 for January. They
were
number 9.
Absolutely,
so,
good for them.
They did $500 million in January.
Great.
So they're actually doing well. Colorado became the 8th state to pass the $6 billion mark for total handle since their launch. Illinois, Indiana, Nevada, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania are the only other states.
Okay.
And Virginia passed $4 billion in total handle. They are the 8th state to do that.
Great.
I think we just mentioned that just really quickly. We also have, one other benchmark. Yes, American Gaming Association released their commercial gaming revenue report last week. February marked, we're talking February now. February marked 12 straight months with $4 billion or more in revenue for the overall gaming industry.
Okay.
So, this is supposed to be the fastest growth for the casino industry in terms of an annual number. January, February, 2 months in, this is the fastest.
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's been great. All commercial gambling in this country has been great this year.
Everything.
It's been amazing. We've been to Atlantic City a couple of times. The crowd's been great. And everyone's playing. Everyone's having a great time. And I think people are just, they're coming out from their 2-year hibernation kind of thing, and they're really enjoying themselves, which is great. Great.
Also, before we even get to some of the baseball deals that we're going to be talking about, one little note. We talked about this more in depth in the main program, Turnpike Sports. Esports Entertainment Group launched their VIE.GG. I think it's vi.gg website.
Yeah. I was on it last time we were doing
for
it.
esports only betting. First one in North America to be esports only. They launched last week, April 4th, I believe, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
They completed their regulatory process of the soft play, or soft launch, I should say. They're now up and running. Congratulations to Grant and everybody there.
Yeah, no, it's great. I'm on their website right now. It's really cool.
So they've actually had a great couple of weeks here between Landul and now the launch of their platform. Beautiful site, by the way.
It is. It's great. I'm on it now. I'm having a good time going through it.
Well, you want to talk some opening day baseball deals and announcements?
Sure.
Well, first of all, we have 2 sports books and a network to talk about.
Okay. All right.
Which one you want to hit first? You want to do the MLB network?
Sure.
The MLB network announced a brand new show for this year's baseball season. It's called, and I want to get the name right here, the Pregame Spread.
Okay.
As you can tell by the name, it's a betting show.
I gathered that.
It's a regular season daily program. It's going to be at 5 p.m. I'm assuming it really depends upon that time. Really depends upon if they're showing a game.
Yeah.
Unless they're going to be doing it online as well as.
I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do it. So, but I'm going to watch it. I'll usually. What time is it? It's at a good time.
It's every day at 5 p.m.
Perfect.
They're going to be looking at the night games.
Good.
Yeah,
good.
I know they can't do the 1 o'clock games. Well, maybe they can.
I got to tell you,
before.
I do like the betting shows. There's a lot of betting shows in our area. MSG, we network. You have the S Network. They have things like that. They have, SNY and the Philly, Sports Center stuff
the
and
NBC
whatever.
Sports Philly.
I mean, it's great. I need all the help I can get. If they can break down some stuff, if they can tell me some interesting facts, some interesting trends, hey, I'm all for it.
Now the hosts are Ariel Epstein. She's a co-host.
She's awesome. She's great.
And you're going to have to help me with this guy's name.
Matt Vasgersian.
Matt Vasgersian.
Yes, Matt Vasgersian.
I always screwed up.
By the way,
I did not want to do that.
But I heard him on VSiN last week, and he broke down pitching, day-night pitching. He broke down,
was he the guy who did the color of the uniform?
The color, the day games at Dodger Stadium, how the ball comes out behind the mountains and the sky, and the white ball against the white uniforms of the Dodgers, and the arm angle, or the left or right. It was fascinating. I mean,
I remember
it's that stuff I don't think about, and that's why I love these shows. They bring up things I don't think about, and I should think about.
I remember one hit he did for VSiN where he was talking about the Tampa Bay mound.
Yes,
for some reason, pitchers get more extension on that mound.
It was
very interesting takes.
How would I
data.
have known that unless he did the research or his team did the research?
Yes.
I don't know what the situation is with regard to that, but it was fascinating. It was just that's why I'm fascinated by these professional bettors. They look at things like that. They look at the weather. They look at how people perform in weather. They look at the shape of the field, the background of the pitch coming out, the mound. I mean, how would I even begin to think of something like that unless they brought it up? And now I'm thinking about it. So, which it makes you a smarter bettor.
Which is also the reason why there are all these data companies out there that supply these packages.
It's great.
You need all that information if you're a pro bettor. I mean, if you're a casual bettor, you may or may want to take a look at it. I don't know. I mean, I consider myself casual. I'm not a professional. I'm never.
Well,
I'm looking at the amount I lose. I am never going to be a professional bettor. But again, you use some of this data. You use somebody use all of this data.
Yeah.
But this show is going to be doing stuff like that.
Great.
And I'm actually kind of looking forward to it. I missed the premiere of it.
Yeah.
And I want to see how the show
I have not
handles
seen
the
it
night
yet.
games.
Yeah,
But they're going to be doing they're looking at the betting insights for the night ahead. They're looking at trending topics that are going around baseball right now. They're also going to be doing interviews and getting other people's takes on the betting aspects of the game.
Yeah.
So it's going to be kind of a fun show to watch.
Oh, absolutely. I think they are the two best people involved in sports betting media today because they go, when you say go beyond the numbers, these two, Ariel and Matt, really go beyond the numbers and really give you some good information.
I'm not saying anything
and
new here.
it's information that, like I said, I would not have thought of on my own, and it's stuff you probably should think about it. So it's good that they're doing
Well,
this.
I'm not saying anything new here, but they know their stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Let's talk a couple other deals that were announced on opening day or around opening day. Caesars Entertainment did a deal with the New York Mets.
Yeah, what are they? The official sports betting partner for the Mets
They
now?
are the official sports betting partner of the team. They are also going to be opening a new sportsbook lounge at Citi Field.
Okay. Will it
pending
overlook
regulatory?
Will it overlook the field? I mean, will it be one of those things you can go into their lounge and look out the window and watch the live game? Or
it's going to replace. It's going to be the Caesars Sportsbook at the Metro Grill, which is already in the stadium.
Okay.
If people
All
have
right.
been to Citi Field, you know where the Metro Grill is. I believe it's in the left field side of the stadium. I've never been to Citi Field, sad to say, but it's going to be a 13,000 square foot space.
If I ever went to Citi Field, I will not wear my Phillies gear.
No.
I'm smart enough not to do that.
It's going to be multi-tiered dining room, outdoor patio seating overlooking the field.
Oh, nice. That's great. See, that was my question. I wanted to see if you can go there and actually watch the live game.
Well, I think you need a ticket to get in.
Well, I know that.
It's not going to be outdoor
that,
entrance. I don't know. You know what? I shouldn't say that because it was very unclear in the press release whether it was going to be an outdoor entrance to it. But I'm assuming since it's part of the field already, there's no outdoor entrance to it.
Probably not. I don't know.
DraftKings hired Jared Carabas, who will work with them to create content for really just baseball, Boston Red Sox stuff.
Yeah.
He used to work for
Barstool
Sports.
I think he has done more for baseball than anyone who's not actually working in the MLB. I mean, I think he's opened baseball to a whole bunch of younger viewers, so it's great that they're getting him involved.
Well, he has the Barstool audience. They're bringing him to DraftKings. He's going to be doing two shows on baseball.
Good. Yeah.
Baseball is Dead. That's the name of it. Baseball is Dead.
Okay.
But it's actually...
I thought that was a commentary by you.
No. But Baseball is Dead, and Jared Carabas.
Good.
He's going to be doing a wrestling podcast.
See, I didn't know he was a wrestling guy.
Yeah, that's where I kind of knew him from, doing all the wrestling stuff.
You see, it seems like a lot of MMA has replaced the wrestling podcast stuff, but I was glad to see wrestling's podcast coming back.
Well, again, he's going to be doing multiple stuff. We have the Score Bet doing a 10-year deal with the Toronto Blue Jays.
Okay, all right.
They are now the exclusive gaming partner of the team. They are doing sports betting, iCasino, online, basically anything. Sports betting, casinos, online casinos, fantasy sports. They are the exclusive partner for 10 years with the Toronto Blue Jays.
I'm not on Score Bet, but I have the Score mobile app on my phone, and when I say, I do same game parlays, that is essential because the Score app is so good for following along the game and the stats in the game. It's just awesome. So that's my go-to place when I'm watching a game, the Score app.
Well, that Canadian deal leads me into another Canadian deal.
Okay.
It's a good segue here.
It's been a big week for Canada.
Well, this is FanDuel doing a multi-year agreement with Canadian telecom and media giant BCE.
Okay.
They are TSN, the network. Television network. They're going to be creating original content for the network, and they're also going to be providing the odds and data for the network moving forward as the seasons and sports seasons progress. It's going to be all FanDuel with TSN. Didn't say it was exclusive, so we may see some other stuff.
Like I said, it's been a big week for Canada. I guess next week, the CEO and president of the Canadian Gaming Association, Paul Burns, is going to be on the show. So
that's in 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. Yeah, no, it's a fascinating guy. It's amazing stuff what's happening in Canada.
No, it's great to see that launch, and it went off very well.
It's basically everything's in Ontario, and I guess all the other provinces are trying to catch up.
Yeah, it's a wait and see kind of thing for them.
Yep.
2 other deals to hit before we really get out of here. BetMGM announced that they did a ambassador deal with AJ Andrews. She is an American softball player, professional softball
That's
player.
great, yeah.
She was the first woman to win a Rawlings Gold Glove Award.
Awesome.
So she's going to be doing a bunch of content for them. Again, it's another ambassadorship deal. We have Rush Street doing a deal with Canadian broadcaster.
More Canada, huh?
More Canada. Dan O'Toole. I'm not familiar with him, it's sad to say, but he has had a deal with Bet Rivers for a while, and now that Bet Rivers
so he's got to be good.
As Bet Rivers has launched
Yeah.
in Canada. By the way, for people who haven't realized this yet, the .ca is the domain extension for those websites up there. .canada.
Well, we're learning a lot about, what do you call them, prefixes? What was it, .io and now .ca?
Well, they're domain names. They're not prefixes.
Well, I don't know what they're called. I don't know. They were, what the hell the definition was on there.
And we've got DraftKings. Besides that deal for the baseball stuff with Caratus over there, they have done a deal to expand into Puerto Rico.
Good.
They are going to be doing a extension of their deal with the Mashantucket Pequot Tribal Nation, and you know what those are. They're Foxwoods.
Oh, are they? They're Fox. I was going to say either Mohegan Sun or Foxwoods.
No, they're Foxwoods. They're down in Puerto Rico, so they're going to be doing a retail and an online sports book there once the organization of that gaming industry starts going. They got to get regulatory approval for that before they can do anything.
Okay.
A couple legislative notes to hit on before we get out of here. New York looks like they are not going to be expanding their iGaming and betting industry right now. They're not going to be included in the upcoming budget for any additional licenses or mobile sports betting or iGaming stuff. So that was spoken. That was.
You mean New York hit a speed bump?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Oh
Another
no.
one.
Oh boy.
Senator Joe Adabo said that to reporters.
What's gonna happen? They're
not
gonna make the incredible amounts more money that they can
they're
make?
not expanding
Unbelievable.
the mobile sports betting market. New Jersey, though.
Okay.
Assemblyman Ralph Caputo. We've had him on the show in the past.
Absolutely.
He was with the esports.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
He is now considering a push to amend the Sports Betting Act to allow college basketball betting in New Jersey on New Jersey teams.
Yeah. Well, that was a big issue a couple of weeks ago when St. Peter's was going on its phenomenal run. I mean, it was a great story. New Jersey was very proud of him. But the one thing about New Jersey, if you're a New Jersey resident and betting in New Jersey, you couldn't place a bet on them because New Jersey has the rule where you can't place a bet on a college or university within the state, or you can't place a bet on a collegiate activity that occurs within the state. So, it was great to see St. Peter's, but it was one of those things where, boy, I wish I could put a little money on them.
Well, again, we'll see what happens. They tried to do it last year, and it didn't. The amendment didn't get on the ballot, or it didn't pass.
Well, I think there was a referendum, and people said no to it. So I don't know how they're going to work around that one, but we'll see.
One last quick note before we're done for the week. In Ohio still hasn't launched their actual sports betting industry yet.
Mm-hmm.
That has not stopped Jack Entertainment from launching BetJack.
Yeah, I know. It's almost like an educational site, almost.
Well, BetJack is going to be their online sports betting platform for everything when it actually launches.
But right now, I guess they're getting accustomed and getting people acclimated to the betting atmosphere and how to bet, so you can make some smart bets once Ohio pulls the trigger and allows sports betting,
which is really cool because you don't have to put any money into it. Every day you go onto the to the site, if you want to bet, you're allotted every day 100 tokens to bet.
Yeah,
and it basically
it's not real money.
It's not real money.
Yeah, so.
It teaches you how to do the betting. I have to take a closer look to see exactly if they do same game parlays.
I don't know.
At some point, they're going to start doing all this stuff, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Ohio does when they launch.
I am assuming since it's not real money or it's only play money, can people from other states log on and take a look at it, or how does that work?
I have to take a look at that.
Yeah,
I really did. I went on their website.
I'd be very curious to see it.
You can actually access the website from outside Ohio. I'm here in Jersey, and the site's up and running. It looks nice.
Okay. And, I haven't been on it yet.
But
what is their dot thing?
That I don't know. I don't
I had
remember.
a .io. I had a .ca today.
It's not a .io. It's not a
Oh, wait, and
.ca.
I also had eSports Entertainment. What was that? .gg?
.gg.
All right, boy.
So
What an education I just
You've
got.
had a domain name education
Wow,
today.
what an education.
But
All
that's
right.
it for this week. Please keep those press releases coming in. info@turnpikesportsradio.com. If you've been watching us on TV, the ticker has been doing a whole bunch of other stories that we didn't touch in this episode of the book report. Also, after this show is released, you'll see a print version which has even more stories on our blog, turnpikesportsradio.com. Click on the blog button and you'll see the book report in print version there.
And that'll do for us this week. We'll see you next time on the Turnpike.